How do you break Los Angeles in half with a single headline? How do you flip a Western Conference arms race without moving a muscle, just by letting a rumor breathe? And how do you turn a quiet front office chess match into the kind of storm that makes every rival refresh their phone at 3 a.m., praying it isn't true? If you can feel a pressure drop in the city right now, you're not imagining it. Something big is circling, bigger than gossip, heavier than noise, and it points straight at the one move that could redraw the map from Crypto.com arena to every playoff bracket in America. Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report, the channel, where Lakers fans get the full picture, the on-court fit, the cap math, the culture test, the timeline, and the tells that separate smoke from fire. If you love deep breakdowns and you want the truth before it trends, hit subscribe right now, drop a like to feed the algorithm, and buckle up. Today, we're not playing small. We're going to outline the rumor, build the basketball logic, stress test the risks, and show you how a single decision could remodel a contender overnight. Let's set the stakes with brutal honesty. The Lakers are done chasing cute stories. They're hunting banners. The window with two generational talents is open, but it's not a skylight. It's a trapdoor. You climb through now, or it slams. Margins decide rings. Possessions decide legacies. And the reason this idea won't die is simple. It's the cleanest way to raise the championship floor while raising the ceiling even higher. What changed? Not the Lakers' hunger, not the market's appetite. What changed is the pressure building across town, and the sense that the league's political weather might create a doorway that didn't exist 2 weeks ago. You've seen the headlines, you've heard the allegations. I'm not here to litigate any of it. I'm here to tell you what it would mean if a domino fell even halfway. Because if the door even cracks, Rob Pelinka has a blueprint on the wall with one name in bold ink and a stack of contingencies paperclipped to it. Pelinka's ethos in moments like this is consistent. Discretion, optionality, leverage. You don't beg the market. You force the market to explain why you shouldn't make the move. You put your cap sheet on rails, you keep your medium salary slots flexible, you prep 3 team frameworks, and you identify your non-negotiables. Two-way wing length, closing time, shot creation, and late clock poise you can trust in Game 5 on the road. On the floor, the Lakers don't need someone to dominate touches. They need someone to dominate possessions. There's a difference. It's about turning 0.9 points per play into 1.1 in the half court, about stealing 4 buckets a night from matchups and geometry. It's about a wing who bends the nail defender with a jab, who lives in the mid-post without turning the game, into molasses who hunts mismatches without compromising spacing. It's about playoff math, points that come easy when nothing else does. Culturally, the fit has to be as sharp as the handle. The Lakers aren't an influencer brand, they're a work brand. The room demands accountability, the staff demands clarity, and the stars demand seriousness. That's why this conversation is even possible, because the coaching group wants versatile actions that punish switches, and the roster is filled with players who thrive off clean reads and ruthless simplicity. The ideal target doesn't need the ball to feel important, but when he has it, the defense feels doomed. Now, the hard part, the obstacles. Availability history, salary mechanics, draft capital, optics. You don't just call across town and trade hands like it's fantasy hoops. You need either contraction on the other side, pressure, penalties, or just the human fatigue that comes with headlines. Or you need a buyout pathway so insane it sounds like fiction, until it's not. The third path is a 3-team construction that launders the politics through a neutral broker. All of these are rare. None are impossible. Before we say the name, track the tells. Watch for restructures that create mid-season breathing room. Watch for federal paperwork turning into league paperwork, then into PR quiet. Watch for the agent ecosystem doing unrelated check-ins with teams that don't need a wing but have cap tools. Watch for the very specific silence that comes when a story is too radioactive to spin and too real to deny. When the loudest people get careful, that's your siren. Deep breath. You know who I'm about to say. The overqualified closer who doesn't raise his voice, the antidote to frantic fourth quarters, the most controlled explosion in basketball, when the knee cooperates. The name Rob Pelinka is prepared to remodel this roster around if the door opens even an inch, is Kawhi Leonard. Sit with the shock, then feel the logic. For the Lakers, it's not nostalgia or star chasing, it's math. Kawhi is the rare wing who compresses playoff chaos. He shrinks the game to his pace, then slices it with economy, strong hand drives, shoulder through contact, elevation to the free throw line area, and that flat arc pull-up that turns elite contests into background noise. Defensively, even post-injury, he still carries matchup gravity. He changes the other team's first read and steals a dribble from everyone in the action. Next to two living mismatches, he's not a luxury. He's the hinge. Let's talk actions, because banners are won by actions. With Kawhi, the Lakers can spam Horn's elbow into a strong-hand ISO without telegraphing it. They can flow from slot pick and roll into shallow cut, then throw it to mid-post with an empty corner and make that a two-man game. No help allowed. Spain pick and roll becomes a deception, not a diet. Set it twice, then reject and walk your defender to the nail. Against switch-heavy defenses, you get the bully switch, drag the smallest guy into the low box, reverse the ball, knife the gap, and live at the line. But availability is the board you have to pass before you ever touch the court. If this happens, it only happens with a plan that admits the truth. 82 games are optional, 16 wins are mandatory. The program would need to be hard-cap meticulous. Minute bans, back-to-back protocols, contact quotas in practice, and a medical basketball handshake that prioritizes April, May, June. You don't buy 70 games of Kawhi. You buy 22 quarters when the season is a hostage situation. And those quarters decide everything. Money time. If the across-town situation escalates, the spectrum runs from unsalvageable to manageable. On the extreme end, voids, buyouts, scorched earth, you pounce with cap creativity, front-loaded guarantees married to non-guaranteed tails, playoff trigger escalators, and opt-outs that protect both sides. On the more likely end, you build an adult trade, a mid-sized salary base, multiple firsts with protections that survive, and a third team that eats a contract for a pick. Pelinka's value isn't magic, it's patience under pressure. The Lakers don't have to win the press conference. They have to win the terms. What about the guys we'd lose? Good question, necessary emotion. Depth wins regular seasons, top-end leverage wins titles. The move only makes sense if the Lakers can preserve their connective tissue. Screeners who sprint, shooters who relocate, guards who tag the roller and hit the shake. The trick is to keep two of your three favorite role archetypes, the movement shooter who stretches the weak side, the point-of-attack defender who starts possessions at the logo, and the utility big who flips angles in the dunker. Spot. If you keep two, you can rebuild the third with a buyout or a minimum later. Culture test, part 2. Would Kawhi fit? The truth is, yes, if the expectations are adult and the hierarchy is clean. He doesn't need to talk to lead, but he has to show up to lead. Film room honesty. Practice habits that young guys can copy. Availability aligned. With the plan, not vibes. In the huddle, his value is economy. Say little, do everything, own the possession. The Lakers are a results organization. That's his language. Mid-video pulse check. If you want me to drop a full whiteboard session, how Kawhi's mid-post diet meshes with the Lakers' current elbow series, how the staff can hide him on defense early and then unleash switch everything. Late comment film right now and make sure you're subscribed. I'll cut 3 playoff possessions that show why his gravity in the middle third is basically a cheat code for a roster like this. Counter arguments time, because we tell the truth here. He's missed time. True. That's why the plan is postseason first. It will cost a fortune. Also true. That's why protections exist, why vendors' picks get staged, and why the Lakers would need to win every clause, not just the headline. He's across town. They'll never do it. Maybe. But the league has a way of turning never into when, once pressure, paperwork, and human fatigue sync up. You don't bank on it. You get ready for it. Okay, timeline. 3 windows. Window A, shockwave. Something decisive happens across town, legal, financial, or organizational, and the player becomes extractable. You move fast, but not frantic. Window B, slow burn. Conversations go private for 60, 90 days, assets get positioned, and a 3-team structure shows up the day before anyone expects it. Window C, leverage theater. Nothing happens, but the Lakers use the concept to sharpen their own standard, and other stars feel the heat. Which window are we living in? We'll know by the pace of the silence. Watch for this breadcrumb trail. Veterans who didn't need restructures suddenly get them. A mid-salary wing on another team moves for a second-rounder, clearing the chessboard. A general maintenance quote becomes the most important sentence of a press conference. And your favorite insider's tone shifts from smirk to neutral. None of these confirm anything alone. Together they hum. Let's have some fun and talk. Matchups, because this isn't a thought experiment. It's a Western bracket rehearsal. Against a switch and scram monster, you punish any small stuck on him by walking to the nail and forcing either a double or a foul. Against a drop team, you run step-up screens to create the elbow jumper that kills drop coverage rhythm. Against mobile bigs who switch and recover, you flip the angle, reject the screen, snake to the dotted line, and kick to the shake shooter. And late game? Empty corner bully ball, 2 dribbles, bump, glass. Ugly, beautiful, inevitable. Defense wins the silent possessions nobody remembers but every coach circles. With Kawhi, the Lakers can run 3 bodies who deny the middle, peel, switch without panic, and bait weak side cutters into traffic. He's not prime every night, but in the last 5 minutes, he still erases a dribble and changes a read. That's what the staff would pay for. Matchup gravity, not chase highlights. Put him on the scorer who needs rhythm and make him hate his dribbles. Now, the phrase of the week, remodel, not rebuild. Pelinka's job isn't to blow up a core that works, it's to improve the pieces that fail under playoff lighting. A healthy, 2-way killer on the wing covers the sins Lakers fans know by heart: the 2-minute drought, the late clock bailout, the possession where the ball sticks and time dies. You add someone who treats those moments like chores. Done. Next. Where does this leave the human part, the part that turns rumors into choices? With a really simple, really hard question. If the opportunity arrived on a silver platter stained with politics and noise, do you take it? Not because it's flashy, because it's correct. Because the math says you just turned 6 ugly possessions into 4 clean ones every other night for 6 weeks in spring. That's a parade's worth of edge. Quick cap sketch so you can argue. In the comments with receipts. Base outgoing salary in the mid-20s, plus picks with staggered protections. A third team absorbing a contract for a first-rounder. Optionality via non-guarantees to protect year 3 risk. Playoff trigger escalators that pay if it pays. You don't have to love the cost. You have to love the ring equity per asset burned. That's the only honest metric. I'll say this with full respect for reality. This is still speculation. No ink, no handshake. A map, not a destination. But the contour of the map makes sense. A front office that lives for margins. A roster. Begging for a late-game grown-up at the wing. A league moment that might make the impossible negotiable. If the door opens, the Lakers are one of 3 teams in the world positioned to walk through it and lock it from the inside. Final ask to the smartest fan base on YouTube. Comment. If you pay the heavy price for the best closer on the wing, or if you'd only do it on a buyout mercy, and 3, if you'd pass and pivot to a cheaper two-way solution. I'm pulling the top arguments for a follow-up where we'll diagram the exact sets and simulate the cap table so you can see what survives the trade and what has to be rebuilt. Until then, remember why this rumor has a pulse. The Lakers stopped apologizing for wanting to be terrifying. If the league hands you a lever big enough to move June, you don't ask if it's polite. You ask if it works. And if Kawhi Leonard in purple and gold is the lever, Rob Pelinka's job is to pull. We'll be here the second anything real moves. Film, numbers, and the one thing that matters. Does this make Banner 18 more likely, or is it just noise dressed like destiny?